Welcome to the EUDI Wallet Workshop, brought to you by the European Commission, the EU Digital Identity Wallet Consortium, and the OpenWallet Foundation. This workshop took place on March 18th, 2024. As with all Linux Foundation meetings, this is held under the Linux Foundation competition policy. Linux Foundation Europe meetings involve participation by industry competitors, and it is the intention of the Linux Foundation to conduct all of its activities in accordance with applicable antitrust and competition laws. It is therefore extremely important that attendees adhere to meeting agendas and be aware of and not participate in any activities that are prohibited under applicable U.S., state, federal, or foreign antitrust and competition laws. Examples of types of actions that are prohibited at Linux Foundation Europe meetings and in connection with Linux Foundation activities are described in the Linux Foundation antitrust policy available at linuxfoundation.eu. If you have any questions about these matters, please contact your company counsel, or if you're a member of the Linux Foundation, feel free to contact Andrew Updegrove of the firm Gesmer Updegrove LLP, which provides legal counsel to the Linux Foundation. This meeting is also held under the Linux Foundation Code of Conduct, which can best be summed up as be excellent to each other, be kind to each other, be respectful of each other. You can find out more about the Linux Foundation Code of Conduct at events.linuxfoundation.org/about/code-of-conduct. And please get involved. Your participation is what makes open source works, and we look forward to having you both learn from this workshop, but also participate. Unfortunately, due to a technical issue, the Zoom recording is missing the first 45 minutes of the presentation. We've included the deck slides in the description below and as a blog post for the workshop at openwallet.foundation. This video and presentation will begin with Herman Walby from NOID.
Thank you. I'm from the NOID consortium. I'll do a quick run through of what we're about. We are focusing on testing the payment use case. We are on a mission to support the piloting of the EU digital identity wallet by member states and relevant stakeholders. We aim to test interoperability and scalability at national and cross-border level. We want to test usage scenarios to facilitate implementation of the wallet, help member states build expertise and infrastructure to facilitate provisions of wallet, promote new wallet among public and private sector users, and consider future extension to the digital euro. Our consortium consists of 7 work packages, 7 parts that have the scope of developing of the pilot wallets, onboarding users through wallet, conducting payment transaction with the wallet, including new partners to the consortium, including and testing other attributes in the wallet, identity matching and authentication, as well as signing. We consist of 29 partners that are working together to develop and test the payments solution within the wallets. We have 6 member states in our consortium, member states representatives, and a good variety of partners from the private sector, as well as an advisory board, payment stakeholders, and national committees. So far, we have made some progress. We have successfully delivered a detailed design for the payment use case in one of the work packages. We have produced a functional proof of concept that demonstrates payment solutions. And one of our work packages has created a prototype for the payment use case. And the videos and supporting documents has been submitted to the European Commission as a status report for deliverable 4.1. That's a short update from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have Adrian, who's going to present the 4th large-scale pilot potential. Adrian.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. I'll also try to share my screen quite quick.
We can see your screen.
Perfect. Okay, so then to begin with a short introduction from my side, my name is Adrian Wieschke from the German Federal Ministry of the Interior and Community, and today I represent my colleague Dr. Moritz Heuberger, who is also present and the technical coordinator of our consortium, but because he's on board a train and we try to anticipate the possibility of connection disruptions, it's me who today have the honor of telling you a few facts about LSP potential. So we are the biggest of the 4 LSP consortia with over 20 member states and more than 140 participants and 6 use cases involved. This number includes private partners as well as the overseeing government authorities. To just introduce one use case as an example, we would like to have a look at the so-called mobile driving license, which will allow you to rent a car across all member states without the need to present yourself along with your physical ID card at the counter of the rental car company. Our main objectives consist, of course, in the national pilotation of our 6 use cases, which I just mentioned before, but nevertheless, of course, also in the active contribution to the architecture and reference framework, which just have been published earlier this month. And I think I'm able to speak for all of potential participants when I say that we all are very happy about the recent publication, because it's a very thrilling contribution that we would like to also contribute to this architecture and reference implementation, as well as to the reference wallet provided by the European Commission. And we are also contributing to the security and privacy of the project by analyzing on an ecosystem level. On this slide, you can see all of our use cases in one place. You will probably be interested in the fact that we deal with proximity as well as remote user flows, always depending on the conditions going along with different use cases. You may also note that one of our use cases provides different sets of data. Along with the general personal identification data, or PID for short, some use cases also provide the feature of a qualified electronic signature, or QEAA for short, and the mobile driving license, of course, provides the MDL. Yes, and from the member states, you can see that most of those member states are using a national wallet, and some of them are also relying on the EU reference wallet. We as Potential are also thrilled to announce that we will start the first attempt of an interop event where all participants are invited to bring their own code. The 3 ecosystem roles are all involved in the event, and the scope of the event and the entire value chain of the event also will be discussed. The PID and the MDL will be discussed in 2 formats, the MDoc and the SDGWT format. We invited very many participants and are happy that we got more than 80 confirmations to this event, where we hope to get all the participants on a joint event and allow to integrate the main ecosystem roles. That would be my short integration to LSP Potential, and I hope if there is any questions that they will be answered in the near future. Thank you from my side.
Thank you very much, Adrian. If I could have just 10 cents every time I was asked the question if the large-scale pilots are the same thing as the EUDI Wallet Reference Code, we could fund the OpenWallet Foundation simply with those 10 cents. So I'm really happy that everyone had an opportunity to hear from the large-scale pilots. And I am truly excited that we now have Vangelis from the NISKI consortium with us. NISKI stands for 2 companies, Netcompany Intrasoft, as well as Skitares, and they are working with the European Commission on the reference code. But with that, Vangelis, great that you're here, and please take us through the reference code. We have been awaiting eagerly for many, many months, and we're really happy that it's here.
We can
Hello,
see your screen.
I hope that you can, see my screen. Good morning overseas, good afternoon here in Europe, good evening in Asia. I'm happy to walk you through our EUDI, the EU Digital Identity Wallet Reference Implementation, and its open source resources. So let's start the dive in. A short introduction, what is that we talk about? It's an open source code publication of a wallet. As long as we are here, we are also going to talk about the ecosystem, meaning parts of the systems that are needed in order for issuers and service providers, relying parties, for example, to implement and actually consume or use a wallet. At this phase, we are starting, let's say, this open source a couple of weeks ago with code and libraries and software that can help all of you implement issuing capabilities. Also present a PID or an MDL. PID stands for personal ID, which is the definition of the IDOS 2.0 for a digital ID in the EUDI wallet. And this presentation can be done remotely using the corresponding standards and technical specifications, as well as in proximity, face-to-face. With all these tools and capabilities, we enable a long list of use cases. Some of them are mentioned here. Most of them have already been mentioned before, so I will not stay there for much longer. I would just go a little bit more technical and say that for the remote presentation, the code is already OpenID 4VP compliant to draft 19, and it's being moved to draft 20 very soon. It supports, of course, Presentation Exchange 2.0. And we have also for the presentation in proximity capabilities for the compliance to ISO 18013 Part 5. This is the respective standard for MDL, but it can govern any MDOC being transferred. And of course, for issuing, we follow what the ARF prescribes for a common protocol, a common way of doing transfer. So we provide libraries and services for OpenID for verifiable credentials issuing. We are currently in draft 12, and draft 13 is being finalized as we speak. Within the next few weeks, you will have it available at your hands. So that's the high-level overview, and we will see this again. Let me go a step back and discuss a little bit about what we are offering. So EU, the Commission, and NISKI has prepared a package of open source code that is mostly Apache 2.0 open source license labeled. So it's free to use, it's free to modify and distribute, and it can be reused as you wish. With that said, Apache 2.0 is a very well-known license. I would say that the choice was capitalizing on the previous experience of the COVID times with the Green Pass certificate. And there is also a small differentiation only for the mobile apps in order to follow an initiative by the European Commission. It was seen fit that EUPL 1.0 license, a stronger copyleft license, gives you access to the apps that you will see that are separately maintaining their own repos. So for the wallet apps, EUPL 1.0, of course, it's repo. For the developers, it's clear where it is. Now, before we dive into the code, if you allow me for some minutes, just on high level to give you a short demo of how the apps currently provide functionality and how they work. And I have here an iPhone and an Android that I will mirror in front of your screen. So let me switch a little bit to one of the devices and share them. So you actually see what I have here in a phone. And this is the EUDI wallet built as an app for an iOS. So any developer can actually build and run it. In the first encounter, in the first contact with the app, we need to populate it with some IDs. One of it can be a PID, for example. Another can be the driver's license. We can also have and use the option of preloaded sample data. Since we want to do this live, let's walk you through the capabilities. All that you will see will be explained again in the repos. So all the code that you see is available open source. So all the functionalities can be replicated and reused by you. In this case, I'm accessing a demo issuer that represents an EIDAS node. This is an onboarding mechanism that we use in Europe. This is following actually an open source project for the node. And I'm going to actually request my ID. There are test users here in the link that are pre-populated and you can use again. Okay. And let me do this. It will only take a second. Now I'm looking up my ID. Imagine that in this step, onboarding steps can be added from you as developers and as implementers. So this has found my national ID, and it will return it back to the implementation of the reference ID wallet. And here we are. At this point of time, we have a valid populated wallet with one national ID. You get the code of the UX, and it's in a very configurable and well-organized manner with all the flows prepared for both iOS and Android. You can redo parts of the UX if you like. Let me just press and show the national ID, and we have it just here. Of course, I can add another document, and you can also have other ways of populating the screen. Now, once you have your wallet, the main capabilities that you have is to remotely present and use this wallet to authenticate yourself towards an online service or another app in the same device. And the second is to use it in proximity. So I would now move on to a second part of the demo where I will use my wallet to actually share the PID to a relying party. This will involve moving to our test verifier. You will see that we have online for you to use as wallet implementers an online verifier that is implementing OpenID for verifiable presentations. And one can use the second option, for example, to request a full PID from the wallet. All the code that I'm using, I'm going to show you also the repos that are that is stored in. So functionally wise, a request comes into the wallet. There is verification of the relying party. That's why you see a green tick up here. That if you click it, it says that it's a trusted relying party. And you have, of course, selected disclosure in order to respond back. And once you consent, the verifier presents what he has got. And of course, you can take it from there to open a bank account, to authorize in a passwordless manner, and change and apply into your use cases. So this concludes the demo for the remote presentation. And let me go back to the wallet. I will, in this case, also add a mobile driver's license. In this case, we just simulate an issuer to create one driver's license. So I will do this here. I will give it a birth date, a place of birth, and a sample document number, and of course, a driving privilege. Let's issue it starting today for some months. You can add more. And I submit it and return it using OpenID for VCI back to my wallet, and I got it here. So now I have both documents, and let me share also for the proximity use case, a second device. You need two in order to make this available for proximity. So I have an Android and an iOS. Here we are. The wallet on your right, a simple sample verifier based on Google open source Android verifier. On the left, requesting a driver's license. In order to do that in the proximity use case, you need to click to present the QR code, scan the QR code, and now the respective protocol is using Bluetooth Low Energy. A request comes in, the verifier is reader authenticated, the user consents, and he sends back data. So with that, we have three different operations, three different features: issuing capability, remote presentation verifier, and verification in proximity. Let me go back now from the demo to our presentation and continue with a dive into the components and libraries that we have available open source, as I said, in GitHub. We are following an open source and open development approach. So whatever we do, we continuously deliver into GitHub, and therefore you can have a grab at them at once. As usual, the open source comes with some disclaimers. The disclaimers are, of course, presented in the repos. The main idea is that we now start. This is not a final production product, but we are welcoming your issues, your feedback, in order to make this final as soon as possible, the soonest, to say the least. Let me walk you around our high-level design. Here you see the box of the wallet with three stripes: a yellow for the wallet UI, a green stripe with the main set of libraries that comprise it, including on the left the libraries that are for the issuing. On the right, the libraries that have to do with remote presentation and in proximity access, as well as in the center of the green stripe, a coordinator that actually coordinates, orchestrates the use of the wallet, and it does help to provide an easy and simple API to a wallet application, to a wallet UI to use it. And there's also a lower pink stripe that has to do with the data and key management, where we have several options. For example, there are options for wallet data storage services. One can have on-device storage or other hardware-enabled storage that can be used, such as, I don't know, SIMs or remote SSMs, etc. For completion, we have a list of all the repositories here in this presentation, but you will see in the GitHub that all the data that I have here are replicated also there. So we have 22 libraries already published, and there are going to be more to come. The libraries are, let's say, organized in a specific way that follows the stripes I presented earlier. So for the main green, let's say, population of libraries, we have the coordinator libraries that might interest the existing wallet implementers, proximity libraries for Android and iOS. Whatever we have are for both major operating systems for mobiles. And next, we have the remote presentation libraries for presentation exchange, SIOP and OpenID for VP protocols, as well as libraries to handle SDJOT. For the pink stripe, we have libraries that can use on-device capabilities for Git generation, but also provide abstraction to contact key stores beyond that, as well as to store documents. And for the higher yellow stripe, we have the demo apps, where you can find actually a way to either download the app or download the code and build it. So let's go into each category one after the other. And I'm going to walk you through also the GitHub repos themselves. Now, before we do that, outside of the wallet, we have the EUDI ecosystem that includes the verifiers for web and also the parts of the issuing. So for the issuing and the verification, aside the libraries that we have for the wallet itself, the client, let's say, libraries, we also have created for the community online services that can be used as test beds or demo presentation helpers, as well as the software itself that can be used in order to extend your own verifiers, your own relying party software, as well as your own issuing IDPs and capabilities. How to access the repositories? Of course, there are a lot of ways to access 22 repositories. Couple of suggestions that we have. One idea is to go directly to the EUDI wallet application repositories, and that can be useful for getting you access to, for example, the pre-built app for Android, so that you can just download the apps and see how they are working, and also access videos for the demos I just did. We have recorded videos, and they are in the GitHub repositories of the EUDI app Android wallet UI, and the EUDI app iOS wallet UI. The demo videos are there. You see that we have used a stackable naming for the repositories, EUDI for all of them, app, library, or service, and then the operating system, Android, iOS, or something else like JVM. And in the end, it's usability. Now, the second approach is better for existing wallet providers that would like to have a simplified app, a simplified way to integrate all these libraries. And we have the wallet core and the wallet kit for Android and iOS respectively. So let's go one after the other. Option one, the EUDI wallet applications. You will allow me to go back and forth from the slides to the repos so that you can have some idea what I'm talking about in particular. So let me switch back to the repos. The full package of the open source is available in the EUDI Wallet organization. So the EU Digital Identity Wallet organization has the repos that we publish, including the architecture reference framework that Paolo earlier mentioned. In this main page, we have a start section just to provide access to the EUDI Wallet Reference implementation details. And the list of the repositories are mentioned in this reference implementation text, where we have, practically speaking, a debrief of our presentation, some frequently asked questions, and the list of the repositories with a short description as we did, and I'm going to walk you through them. The first parts that we talked about, I mentioned, are the apps. So the apps are maintained in two different repositories for Android and iOS, of course. So the EUDI Android Wallet Reference application is available here. And it's a very well-built and organized setup for an application, completely decoupled from the underlying libraries and easily to maintain and reuse. The app consumes our SDK, so the app itself consumes the SDK. So and implements the ARF. Now, the interesting part in this repository starts in this line. So this line has a link to the EUDI Development Reference Implementation IACA public certificate. So any issuer, verification service, service provider, or verifier app that would like to trust the off-the-shelf reference implementation when it's built needs to include in their implementation this IACA. And you can see also lower down that we already have the demo videos recorded here, so there's no need to look otherwise for them. All three scenarios. A comprehensive how to use the application. This is not for developers, practically speaking. This is for demonstrators. You can download the application here. We have a copy of the verifier here, and exhaustive step-by-step presentation for how to use it. For issuance, remote presentation with our verifier, proximity. And having said that, here we have a presentation of the structure of the package that the wallet app consists of. And I'm clicking to the application configuration to show you something that is interesting for developers. So in order to configure the application, of course, there is a general configuration file. There is the theme configuration. And another important part is the pin storage configuration, where you can, if you like, utilize, extend, and build further implementations on secure pin storage. We merely provide a pin management for demonstration issues. You can, of course, further implement these APIs with more pin storage. And of course, you see the long list of the packages that consist the wallet app. So it's completely modular and reusable. And we hope that it will be useful to your existing implementations as well as to your new implementations. And let me switch back to the slides. And continue. How to navigate the repositories, option 2. In case you are a wallet provider and you want to see whether you can reuse your wallet implementation, we provide a simplified API through the wallet core and the wallet kit to all the libraries that we expose and we implement and reuse in order to help coders and wallet providers to consume this software in an easier way. Let me switch back to the repos. This is the Android wallet core repository. So this second option for the wallet core and the wallet kit serves as a coordinator, as we said, and it's also the routing start for all the list of libraries. Here you can see that in the bottom we have the core, and several other libraries are connected to it indirectly or directly. We have, for example, the issuing, the OpenID for VCI issuing manager library. We have the remote presentation for the verifiable presentation support for OpenID for VP with the presentation exchange, of course, capability. And in the case of the Android, we have a document manager and a data transfer manager that tries and builds upon pre-existing open source code that comes from, of course, the open project on identity credential by Google Android. So this routing, I hope you will find it helpful. Remember, it is in the wallet core and the wallet kit. Now, the wallet core and kit is going to display in its tops README text what is the supported libraries underneath. So we are trying to keep Android and iOS implementation in sync. Therefore, we populate the features in order to be in as possible in both platforms. Of course, you can find dependencies and then a long list of how to use now programmatically. And this goes for all the libraries. This is a mere example, how to use programmatically all the libraries here. Let me go back and continue. So we did reference the apps. We did reference the coordinator. Let's go deeper to the operations that you have seen: remote presentation, proximity, and issuing. For the remote presentation, the remote identification, the technology is based on OpenID for VP and Presentation Exchange 2.0. The current payload is supporting end-to-end MDoc format in CBOR it will soon support SD.VC or an SD.JOT related version of it. As long as it's out there, you will be able to find the details of the version. Now, in the same device online authentication, we are following the ARF provisions for online authentication and prioritizing at this point of time OpenID for VP. The current deployed draft is 19. We are very close again for this within the end of April, end of May latest. I expect that draft 20 will be there, if I may say. The libraries that are included here are both, again, platforms, Presentation Exchange, OpenID for VP, and an SD.JOT library. And a very important part that I would stop a little bit and I want to discuss it with you and to present it to you. It's the ecosystem. So we have the libraries, yes, for the wallet. Yes, you can use them, but in order to use them for the remote presentation, you would need also a counterpart, somebody to actually create the request. So we have a web verifier, which is based on a backend RESTful API that acts as the relying party trusted endpoint. This is the second library here, the EUDI SRV web verifier endpoint 23-20 part 4 in JVM Kotlin. An instance of it is available as an end service through verifier EUDI w.dev, but I want to go into the repository and discuss a little bit more about it, because perhaps you come from a relying party, you come from a service provider that wants to extend their service or check out how you can use OpenID for VP as an option. More options will come later down the road. This is what we have for the time being. And the idea is that perhaps you have a website where you want to request something like having a button like this one here, where you want to be able to request the PID from the wallet in order to do, for example, opening in a bank account or issuing an insurance contract. In order to do that, you need an extension, of course, for your site, and you need to be able to use OpenID for VP. The web verifier endpoint is in this repository. It exposes two APIs, one for the verifier and one for the wallet. It's very well structured and easily reused. It supports same device flow following the technical specs of ISO 23-20 part 4, Annex B, and parts of 18013 part 7 for the cross device also. I want, for the developers only, please take notice of this. For developers, for you, in order to remember how to use this, there are two actors. There are endpoints for the verifier actor and a different endpoint for the wallet actor. So if you are just a relying party, for example, and you want to just download the EUDI build app, and you want to use this code to extend your relying party application, your service provider application, you have to choose the verifier actor and follow the documentation that's available here. So notice the actor for each case. It follows the flow. I always say that a long documentation is a very good sign that things are most probably to easily work. And I underline the easily. So remember this code base, especially if you come from a service provider that wants to do remote presentation requests. I move on to the proximity identification. Here we follow a standard, the ISO 18013 Part 5. It's a well-known case. You see also the two screens on the right. One is from the wallet in the sharing selected disclosure page, and the other is just a well-known open source verifier running and presenting the results. Both platforms, of course, supported open source libraries for data transfer, data model. Let me, before switching to that, to prepare another page. I won't go further in the proximity case. I just want to tell you and remind you that the apps, the build apps, are available in the wallet app repository and not in the proximity or the core. So you have to go there. And remember that if you go from the top of the repositories, the reference implementation README gives you also a very good table of contents for all of us. Now, the third part of functionality operations, key features, is issuing capabilities. In order to support the ARF, OpenID for VCI has been implemented. I'm talking about the latest drafts, 12 and 13. We are preparing draft 13 here. I'm going to present draft 12 for the sake of the presentation. It's not a big change. Now, in this case, in the OpenID for VCI libraries, we have created libraries for the wallet, so consuming libraries, client libraries, as well as implementations, plural, of the OpenID for VCI simple server-side modules. So in order for us to be able to provide you an open source wallet that you can test end-to-end, we have one issuer here, and the ones that are familiar with OpenID for VCI, they will see the credential issuer, a well-known JSON package here, as well as another implementation in Kotlin where you can generate credentials offers and request a PID or an MDL or a PID in SDJ format. And these libraries and these services, sorry, are also available open source, and you can reuse them. Now, let me go again. You see the disclaimers. How to use the OpenID for VCI library. The authorization code flow is supported. There are coming, the pre-authorization code flow also is going to be supported soon end-to-end. So in the demo that I did, you saw the wallet initiated flow. So it's pre-configured to use that one. If somebody wants to employ and go deeper in a pre-authorization code flow, you will have to contact first an issuer, create the request, and then extend. The issuer parts are looking like this. So you have APIs for non-dynamic registration or using the PID, for example, to issue something else. The implementations for the server side are done in Kotlin and in Python. Again, these are sample testing EUDI issuers. The Kotlin one builds upon a well-known IDP, which is the Keycloak. And both of them are trying to just become a good and helpful example for your tests. The issuers are online. You can very easily start building your wallet and use our issuers that are out there, or you can set up your own instances of issuers in your own infrastructure. There is documentation for that in the GitHub Repos for you to be helped with this approach. So what's coming next? We are merely in our starting point. Electronic signatures in a sample. The first release number 2 is going to be published very, very soon. Features will include also a lot of new stuff like management of privacy dashboard, later on wallet-to-wallet communication, all the provisions of the ARF. And of course, we will keep working to adhere to the latest protocol updates for the remote presentation draft 20, namely, and also for OpenID for verifiable credentials issuing draft 13. And we will also be open to suggestions in order to ease the use for developers. So reshaping interfaces or creating samples for you in order to be easier for you to dive deeper and using this opportunity of open source code from the Commission. Now,
Vangelis, if I can just interrupt
Yes.
you 1 second before we jump to the next section, would we like to answer some questions?
Absolutely.
Brian Bellendorf, who's our CTO of the OpenWallet Foundation, you saw a question in chat you really liked. Would you mind sharing it with everyone?
Sure. There was a question about that has to do with local binding. Let me just see if I can to properly quote it. And by the way, I want to thank all of the participants who've been answering questions in the chat. Quite a few have come up and been answered very quickly and concisely, and I think that's been great, as well as an interesting conversation about eSIMs taking place in the thread right now that's worth looking at, and we'll be sure to capture that as part of publishing this online. But there was a question towards the beginning about fingerprints, about support for local biometrics. And without that, how do you keep people from either having several identities in different countries or avoiding fraud in the use of an ill-gotten credential? I don't know if anybody, Evangelist, if you want to answer that, or if others want to step in to try to answer that. But I thought now might be a good point just to cover that.
Just a first comment before Paolo comes in. It is possible technically to have a lot of wallets in your phone. So that's one capability that we have. So Paolo, please.
No, well, it's not going to be the fingerprint assuring the uniqueness of the identity. Well, whether the principle we do have in EIDAS is that anyway the member state is responsible for issuing that PID, that identity. This might be, this is one of the most important bounds we have with the member states, right? Because and the wallet needs to be enabled in order to be a valid EID means, as is defined in the regulation. And to do that, you need to have a PID issued by under the level assurance I by the member state. And that is what the ID where the identification is going to happen and where all the information is going to be checked. So, and you anyway, as Vangelis said, you might have more than one wallet. So this is, yeah, this is the point.
Great. And just another one to get caught up with some of the older questions. Will it be possible to initialize, I think you kind of answered this already, but just to make sure, will it be possible to initialize the wallet with existing OIDC-based solutions like Bank ID or advanced EIDAS level? Or does all solution, will they have to be on a level high? I'm not quite sure what the question meant by that. And it's really, what are the criteria for wallet initialization?
Well, also in this case, the regulation is quite clear. It says that there should be a way to onboard on the wallet starting from one of the existing AID scheme, even if it's not necessarily a level of assurance I. So even if it's a level of assurance substantial, and there should be just provided a way to do that. And this is something that we are working on to do a specific implementing act to do that. Because as of today, you need to provide all the steps in the middle to reach a level of assurance I, starting from a level of assurance substantial. And this will be possible because there is a specific mandate in the regulation for this, and we want to keep our legacy accounts in the current EIDAS to be possible to onboard in the wallet in a very simple way.
Okay, I think that's good for now. I'll come back with a few more questions after we get through the issues and contributions. Thanks.
Thank you. Back to you, Evangelos.
Yeah, thank you for the very interesting and long Q&A that I see, question list actually. So perhaps this section is quite relevant. Let's talk a little bit of how we can support you in issues and how we can see contributions. So everybody knows GitHub. I just have to repeat a little bit about it. So we are going to use as the main de facto service for issue welcoming the GitHub repository functionality. And you can send your technical issues to the related repository. We are happy to see that some of you have already been contacting us through that, and we are responding as soon as possible to those requests. For any other issues, I would like to pass the message that please get in touch with us, with the Commission, through the Connect the EUDI Wallet support email in order to discuss further topics. Now, please check in the issue list if there's a relevant, of course, issue, and we will keep populating the FAQ page for information in order to avoid revisiting the same issues again. Now, in terms of contributions, of course, the Commission will be in charge of maintaining the COVID contributions and managing how they will be, or if and when they will be integrated into the solution. Technically, we are following the GitHub contribution process. There is a contribution description for that in its repository, but it's following the baseline approach for the GitHub flow. The submissions will, and each one of them will be evaluated following the ARF provisions and the technical capabilities that the wallet shall have, of course, following the regulation, by the European Commission with the contractor NIST support in order to be able to evaluate them and next prioritize them. So if you got a technical request, please push it in the issues. And with that, I think that we can move to the Q&A.
Thank you, Evangelos. That was really a comprehensive review. I just have to pass along a lot of the comments I've seen directly as well as in the chat that this has been an incredibly thorough overview of the reference implementation, of the large-scale pilots, and of the entire EUDI effort. So thank you, and thank you to all the other presenters. We're going to try to open it up for a broader Q&A now. There have been many questions, and again, I want to thank Manolis and others who've been answering those questions in the chat. It's made for a really lively and very responsive space, so I think that's really been appreciated. I'm trying to catch up on the questions that haven't been answered yet, and I think one of them that perhaps deserves some discussion is discussion about the platform support. There's clearly tier 1 support for Android and for iOS. For developers, often it's easier to be able to have, say, a React Native UI or some other cross-platform UI to be able to build to. Are there plans, either in the reference implementation or other places that you're familiar with, to try to build cross-platform support in the form of a React Native library or something else? Is that seen as a priority? Any viewpoints on that? And Evangelos, that could be to you, it could be to Paolo, or to any of the other presenters who'd like to talk. Evangelos, any comment?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I don't know if this is the contribution process itself that you are talking about, or that was meant there. There is, no, I just want to comment that we are trying to follow an open development approach. Therefore, whatever we will do on the repos, it's going to be transparent to everyone. But of course, there's a lot of architectural and reference framework work that is being done. And I would advise also the developers to look into that, the regulation implementation aspect. Also, the implementing acts are coming. And a lot of technical details are somehow also answered through the ARF. So we don't just devise code out of our head. We follow the vision document, which is the ARF, and of course the law, which is the regulation PIDAS 2.0. Just a comment to explain how we see that.
That's great.
I'm not going to jump on the questions that are either being answered in chat or folks are actively discussing. I'm going to try to look for ones that are that didn't get an answer. Florin asked earlier, why was it chosen I'm sorry, I'm going to repeat this. Why did you choose the authentication to be based on IACA? It's more oriented for mobile driver's licenses, but for non-mobile driver's licenses, it doesn't seem to make as much sense. Or is this only used temporarily for proximity use cases? Evangelos?
It's only to merely facilitate the demo, so you can change the authentication there. Yes, it's we are trying to make not just libraries, but also demonstrable or let's say technical showcase, and we want to have different customers covered, not only developers, but also demoers, technical evangelists, or people that would like to bring traction to this endeavor. So we had to choose to do something, and we had to be able to showcase also in the flow some kind of authentication. So yes, it's just a demo. It's just an option.
Awesome, thank you.
If I could pick up on one that was asked, and I'm not sure it was. I think it was partly answered, but there was a mention of the disclaimers that essentially say this isn't production ready. Are there any specific areas we need to be concerned about with this initial version? And you started to cover it, and of course the issues and contributions are a great way to try to address that. But let me ask, is there anticipated that the reference implementation, maybe this is an extended way of asking this, that the reference implementation could eventually serve as the basis for the member state wallets directly, that it would be enough to meet the needs short of a relabeling, of rebranding for the local member states, or is it intended really just to be for demonstration purposes?
That's an excellent question. The vision is that the reference implementation should be almost off the shelf. Of course, it's going to be a code. It's not going to be a ready-made product from Google Play or Apple Store or any other, store. I don't want to mention the long list of manufacturers here. But what I'm trying to say is that we want to do as much as possible to be as close as possible to production ready. Of course, the Commission will not say, at this stage, the vision is not that we are going to share the binary to all member states. They will have to do with their wallet implementers the next step, but the vision is to help them as much as possible and be closer to them. We're just in the starting point, as Paulo said, and I see him here.
Yeah, I want just to add one small thing on what you just said, Vangelis. So we do strongly believe that also standardization pass through with the software. If you share how the software is done, if you share how the different components are working, the different libraries, it's a very huge help into achieving standardization, harmonization. As I say, the representation, harmonization is the mantra of this regulation. And this can not only be achieved through a specification, obviously are the starting point, the standards and specification, but if you also implement in a specific way, and not talking necessarily about the whole application, but the different components, then you will know how a specific component is behaving, and we are taking care also of that. So I believe this is it's a very important concept that we wanted to introduce. And as I say, this is a starting point. It means that implementation of a specific component will follow obviously the technical the RF, and so the technical specification, but it also will follow your feedback as implementer and feedback from the LSP. So, and this is a very early stage where we like to see feedback on technical specification, but also in the implementation itself.
Thank you, Paulo. I think we're actually all caught up with the important questions from the technology point of view. I think there's always going to be questions about use cases and potential uses for them down the road. I just wanted to open the floor to see Evangelos, Paulo, or any of the other speakers today, if you've seen any other questions or threads in the chat that you wanted to address here verbally. Okay. Okay, then not hearing that, I think we'd like to wrap up then. Thank you so much to all of the presenters. Thank you in particular to Paulo and to Evangelos, but really to everybody who's helped all of us here on the webinar. We had actually 330 odd people at one point. Help all of us understand really what the EUDI project is about, what the reference implementation is about, this tremendous momentum that the European community is putting forward as a whole to adopt verifiable credentials and meaningful use of this technology at a very large scale and a very rapid pace. We at the OpenWallet Foundation have been very honored to be able to host this webinar. We're very eager to find other ways that we can help with this effort in the long term. Please let us know. And yeah, for everyone else, if you have follow-up questions, feel free to contact us at any of the links that Sean has been providing in the chat, and that we'll also put up with the recording of this. Then we'll work to put the chat transcript up as well, so people can see the questions and answers that were given there. With that, thank you, everyone, and we will see you all again soon. Cheers. Sean, I don't know if there's any other closing you wanted to wrap up with. But...
Sure, quick bit of housekeeping. Thank you to all the attendees. Thank you to the presenters who did such a fantastic job. Thank you to everyone who has both asked questions and answered questions in the chat. This workshop was recorded. We're going to post the video along with links, any PDFs that go with it, on the OpenWallet Foundation blog. It's also going to be posted to our YouTube, which should be up this week, at the OpenWallet Foundation Discord. And a thank you note to everyone who registered via Zoom. We'll get all those links and a link to the video as well. But really, thank you all for making this such a great experience. And with that, unless the EUDI team has anything else to say, Paulo? Would you like the last word?
No, just thank you, everybody. As you say, thanks to all the participants, thanks to you organizing this, and Niski providing a great code. I believe it's worth to say that. And also, yeah, everybody's going to contribute. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.